Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome, despite the warm weather, but a really warm welcome to today's session. So the Auroville Festival kick-started today morning, and this year we have the first quality of the mother, that's sincerity. As Aurovillians, not just in Auroville, but from all across the world, we invite you to really immerse and participate in exploring the depth of this quality, sincerity. The theme, while it is sincerity, we will be exploring the four aspects of the mother: Maheshwari, Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi, and Mahakali. So the first 4 days starting today would be exploration of these aspects, and thereafter from day 5 to day 8 will be the aspirational aspect of each of these. So the idea is that these sessions are just not bringing in the rich perspectives, but also bringing in the experience of what these aspirations or these aspects of mother means. They're quite wide, and it's not possible to kind of really go fully into it. But this is for an interaction, for a dialoguing from Aurovillians and from everyone else, to bring in that richness, to engage in the dialogue, to go back to what we all came here for. So today's theme is exploring Maheshwari and the aspect of divine consciousness. It's a pleasure to have all of you on the dais. And as we said, that the aspect of the mother that we would explore today is Maheshwari. I would just kind of set the context for the audience what Maheshwari is. Imperial Maheshwari is seated in the wideness about thinking mind, and will and sublimates and greatens them into wisdom and largeness or floods with a splendor beyond them. For she is the mighty and wise, who opens us to the supramental infinites and the cosmic vastness, to the grandeur of the supreme light, to a treasure house of miraculous knowledge, to the measureless movement of the mother's eternal forces. Tranquil is she, wonderful, great, and calm forever. Nothing can move her because all wisdom is in her. Nothing is hidden from her. She comprehends all things and all beings and their nature and what moves them and how. All that is and must be. A strength is in her that meets everything and masters, and none can prevail in the end against a vast, intangible wisdom and high tranquil power. Equal, patient, and unalterable inner will, she deals with men according to their nature and with things and happenings according to their force and the truth that is in them. Partiality she has none, but she follows the decree of the Supreme, and some she raises up, and some she casts down or puts away into the darkness. To the wise, she gives a greater and a more luminous wisdom. Those that have vision, she admits to her counsels. On the hostile, the consequences of their hostility, the ignorant and foolish, she leads according to their blindness. In each man, she answers and handles the different elements of his nature according to their need and their urge and the return they call. Puts on them the required pressure or leaves them to their cherished liberty to prosper in ways of the ignorance or to perish. For she is above all, bound by nothing, attached to nothing in the universe. Yet she has more than any other the heart of the universal mother. For her compassion is endless and inexhaustible. All are to her eyes her children and portions of the one. Even the Asura and the Rakshasa and the Pisacha and those that are revolted and hostile. Even her rejections are only a postponement, her punishments a grace. But her Compassion does not blind her wisdom or turn her action from the course decreed. For the truth of things is her one concern, knowledge her center of power, and to build our soul and our nature into the divine truth, her mission and her labor. So the way we would do is, to each one I will give a context. The exploration is of the dimension of the truth and the power of Maheshwari. Inviting each one of you to share what your perspective is on that for about 8 minutes, and then depending on what's shared, we invite you to reflect, share, add, whatever that feels like, and then we throw open any question and answer that the audience may have. So the first is Shushruth Bade. Inviting you what you think is, so there is divinity and there is religion. So in your perspective, what is your understanding of divinity and religion, or divinity versus religion?
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, namaste to everyone. I feel very blessed to be here in Auroville on this very special day. Since we are meditating on the mother and trying to understand, I think I would just start with one small mantra for the mother. Mamba Lalita Devi Brahmananda Sagari Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. So your question was on divinity versus religion. If we see divinity and religion, religion has come in place for identifying divinity. Some way somebody needs to recognize the divine, a way needs to be first paid. But that is not the only way. When there is a imposition, then that becomes a problem. If we see how Mother has asked us to look at religion, she has used very beautiful words how our approach should be. She has said that we must have an awakened indifference or an enlightened indifference towards religions. Meaning we are not looking at religion as something which needs to be discarded, but we are not getting what we can say bound by the religion also. And towards worshippers also she has said benevolent goodwill towards worshippers. Basically religion is also for understanding consciousness, or maybe recognizing the way, but somewhere down the line, once this is the way, when it becomes this is the only way, that becomes a problem. Everywhere this exclusiveness is what is crushing the freedom. Consciousness is only in freedom. Probably in Auroville also, if we, why people love this place so much is because of the consciousness. Here there is a consciousness of freedom for everyone to progress. But again, as we opened up, there is the need to go beyond the mind. But we all perceive everything through our, we can say mind first, maybe senses, and then the mind. How do we go beyond that is again a question. If we look at different traditions, there are different methods. If you see Bhagavad Gita, in the Gita, Krishna has told Indriyanam paranyahur indriyebhya param manaha manasastu para buddhi yo buddhe paratastu saha. Wherein the first level is the level of the senses, where we perceive everything, then the mind processes it. The mind is also having a limitation. Higher than mind there is something buddhi, and even higher than that is the divine, and probably that is where the mother or Maheshwari's role comes into play. For us, if we want to be receptive to the grace, to the manifestation of her will, we will have to first probably surrender. Religion initially teaches us surrender, but somewhere in the mother's path, religion is not something which is to be discarded, but it has to be transcended. Because divinity, when we do this divinity, sometimes, like we said, divinity versus religion. So many times, like mother was asked some questions by sadhaks. She had said that some don't want to change, so they choose to not go into, they don't worship also, they don't change also. But the sadhana is for transformation of our nature. Somewhere for transformation of nature, there is a requirement to surrender to the divine will. Maybe one thing we can probably recognize is, at least like the mother said, a benevolent goodwill for the worshippers. Those who are following other religions, instead of, we can probably not ridicule them, but allow them to go on their path. The other path is different, the mother's path is different from it. We can recognize it, with an indifference which is not cold but an awakened one. And again, for the awakening, there is a need for raising the consciousness. And the best way that can happen, like if you see, even the goddess is when we surrender to her, then her will starts functioning through us. If we see it is like today's topic also of wisdom and divine consciousness. And there is divine consciousness all around us, but are we conscious of it? It is again, we require grace to be conscious of it. Otherwise, we can live in divine consciousness and still not experience anything. And for that, again, to understand that, probably I feel surrender is very essential. So, divinity versus religion, probably if we can take out the versus part, and divinity, we can say is religions contain divinity, but divinity cannot be contained in religion. Divinity is that which is beyond religion as well. And that way Sri Aurobindo has beautifully, in his yoga, it is about transcending, it is a Purna yoga where there is no negation. Like in the Upanishads also, we have one end is Vidya, another end is Avidya, and there is something which is about a reconciliation. There's no compromise, but both ends are understood and then the person goes ahead. I think that is something which is essential. For that, again, it is to become conscious of the mother, and sometimes becoming a child in the mother's under her care. It is the easiest thing because that is where we can raise our own abilities. Maybe we are now in the sense-based perceptions, our own attachments are controlling us. We are not able to rise above that. We'll have to probably surrender, and then that mother will only raise us slowly. But there is a big, long road, a sunlit path which Sri Aurobindo has kept for all of us. To tread on that, we will have to rise beyond the, what we can say, the first levels. In Sri Aurobindo's levels, I had made a mistake of trying to use my mind and write down what each of these, what is mind, what is higher mind, what is overmind, what is illumined mind, what is supermind. I wrote a nice 80-page book, and then I felt the best thing to do for that would be press the delete button, because these are not exact, these are mental, it was just a mental division or distinction. But that is something beyond, it is something which is like today's work, it is consciousness, and maybe if we are sincere, the mother will grant us the wisdom. Even that is told in the Bhagavad Gita also. Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam, I will grant you that wisdom to go ahead into he was the Lord of the overmind. So if that wisdom is required, probably again I feel surrender is the thing. Maybe like today's topic of sincerity. As we are sincere, we will receive. Maheshwari is all powerful. She is all vast. She is beyond our understanding. She is like an ocean. And Sri Aurobindo is also always, consciousness is always accompanied as a trinity. Sat, Chit and Ananda. Truth, consciousness and bliss. So, and again, truth is also something which is vast, like Maheshwari only. Satyam, Rutam, Bruhat is the Vedic word, where it is vast like the sky. To understand that, to remain in the mother's grace, to not receive Maheshwari's wrath also, we probably have to be sincere, and I think that would be the best thing, and sincerity will help us. As well as this question of divinity versus religion, maybe we can recognize certain religions, they are there. We need not ridicule them, because if we ridicule, we will lower our consciousness. But maybe if the road which we are not taking, we need not worry about that road. We can still go ahead on our road. That is what I feel. Yes, Ji.
Thank you.
Yes,
So what I hear you say is religion is a starting point,
Ji.
contains divinity, but divinity is not contained within the religion.
Yes.
You mentioned about awakened indifference and benevolent goodwill.
Yes, Ji.
And in this journey is an individual choice,
Ji.
and that surrender kind of comes in.
Yes.
And there is no knowing through the mind, but to even surrender that and to allow grace
Ji. Ji.
to continue to guide you as you're on the path.
Ji. Ji. Yes,
Thank you
Ji.
so much. We'll
Thank
come
you.
back.